It is the main course presented by Modelo. We thank Modelo for their sponsorship of this program. Modelo rewards college football fans all season long. Frankly, I can think of a few fan bases who deserve one richly right now because they've had a rough time. But this week on the main course, we're going to talk about a couple of teams that might enjoy their Modelos in a far more celebratory fashion given how things are going for them, and that they've even got College Game Day in town in Nashville, Tennessee. This has not happened in a very long time. We're here to talk about Missouri and Vanderbilt, a legitimately big game with national stakes.
Sure.
Godfrey, the Vanderbilt's, is it called Vanderbilt Stadium? What's it called?
Well, it's called First Bank Stadium now.
First Bank, thank you. I enjoyed being there last year.
They have a
construction
corporate.
site. Stadium looks amazing, and it looks like a lot of people in the city of Nashville, and not just visiting fans, are pretty bought in on Vanderbilt football. Correct? Are they doing it like locally? Are people active?
Well,
Are your kids seeing Vanderbilt jerseys in school?
not anymore. So I don't think so. Like, if we're going to answer this honestly, no. I think that it's getting better for sure. I don't think we're at a level yet where it's like they've fully realized their brand, which is one of the reasons why I think Clark Lee isn't going to go anywhere. I don't want to jump ahead, but I think that like Vanderbilt has shown its potential to be legitimate in the SEC for the very first time, period, full stop, since like, way back when. I think that is true. I don't think the culture of it has caught up yet, guys, where like people are getting into it the way like a hot new NHL or MLS team would come to this city and like capture the zeitgeist. That stadium is helping a lot, Alex. I was there for the LSU game, and a big thing to mention is like the construction is done. It's now bowled in. It looks kind of a lot like an MLS stadium in its form and its function, its size. It bowls sound really well. It was really loud Saturday against LSU in a crowd that, I'm going to say this as a positive, was 50-50. It's more expensive to buy tickets now. There's fewer seats. They're all better, and the noise stays inside the building. So, yes, LSU came and packed it out like Texas did last year, like so many teams did before. But you're seeing now a better home field advantage. The student section for Vandy showed up in a big way, by the way.
What is the difference you find in relative staying power between this from Clark Lee and what James Franklin did for 10 seconds?
The line of scrimmage. Like both sides.
Yeah. And we talked about that on the show last week when we previewed the LSU Vanderbilt game. Like, they have, especially on the defensive line, they have done a stunning
O-line too. I mean, like I was sitting next to Pete Nakos from On 3, and we both commented at different times. The thing that's really remarkable, and I may have said this on this show after they beat Virginia Tech this year. I know Tech sucks, but like to look at the helmets with your minds, like what you expect those things to look like. The line of scrimmage play, and now I would say even the team speed is maybe not at the very top of the SEC, but it's noticeably better. They look like an SEC team in the ways that matter most for the first time, in my opinion, whereas James Franklin brought in a lot of good athletes at skill positions, and they really schemed their way into some upset victories. And I'm not trying to shit on James Franklin, but if you go back and look at those signature wins, he caught the bad Houston Nutt Ole Miss teams that were really bad. He caught a Florida team that I think was in the middle of an existential crisis. He beat a bad Petrino Arkansas team. Like, a lot of his wins came against weakened SEC opponents where they were able to, I think, kind of, again, scheme up the upset with better skill position players. This is not that. The LSU game, by the way, guys, like, Vandy won the game the whole game.
Yeah.
Now, LSU had a scripted drive that looked really good, but still ended with a field goal. And then after that, I mean, the biggest criticism I had against Vandy is they might have been a little too aggressive trying to get to Nussmeier, and they were getting there and putting hats on him. And for like 2.5 quarters, he was still making really good throws under pressure because he is an NFL prospect. He has that, and I think he is a little healthier. But other than that, in every other phase of the game, like, dude, I know LSU sucks at running the ball this year and their O-line is a concern, but, dude, Vandy's D-line was getting theirs.
Yeah.
So, like, it just – they aren't like, oh, my God, they had a big – okay. How many hurry-ups have we done where we talk about, like, you needed these 3 things to happen to pull an upset?
Right.
Where it's like
they
special teams.
This team belongs even different than last year's team did, I think.
Yeah.
In the lack of razzle-dazzle it needs.
They don't
Like,
need cute shit, was what I was
Exactly.
about to say, Richard. Like, they don't need to win the turnover battle, although that certainly helps. They don't need the bizarre special teams play. They will just say, do you want to fight? Let's fight.
Yeah.
And they can win that fight.
They can beat you straight. They can just beat you straight up.
Yeah, dude,
with
line
honor.
of scrimmage,
They
man.
can beat
Line
you
of
with
scrimmage.
honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Vanderbilt is one of the best positioned teams to benefit from the age of parity stuff that a lot of people are talking about over the last 2 or 3 weeks,
Yeah.
because they're in the SEC footprint and they can take players who didn't quite work out at higher end SEC programs. But what I think is interesting is that they got this entire offensive line. I think all 5 starters are portal guys, and none of it is, he was at Alabama before, he was at LSU before, he was at Tennessee before. It's a bunch of guys that were playing at Liberty or South Dakota or Oklahoma State, I think, is one. West Virginia is one. Like, it's scouting victories from
Yes.
almost equivalent levels rather than grabbing guys who didn't work out at the Blue Bloods. And I think that wouldn't have been how I would have guessed Vanderbilt would have gotten here if you would have told me that they would portal a competitive team. I mean, Pavia, New Mexico State, class. I mean, even more obvious example. I don't know why I just went through all that. It speaks to a front office that knows what it's doing.
Yeah, their personnel department kind of knew before the levy broke on transfer portal. They kind of knew that they were going to have to out-scout people in the old rules, and it turns out that being really good at evaluating personnel works out even better. It's probably even more important now.
Yes.
Because you're taking flyers on guys and you're just looking at tape, and you might only have them for 1 year. And so again, I think as long as Vandy continues to bolster that part of the operation, I think Clark Lee is going to stick around.
I do think this game is a very interesting portal styles make fights for the reason that Alex is saying. Whereas I find Missouri, Ahmad Hardy aside, even though Ahmad Hardy is the classic, like, go get some guy who was really good at G5 and bring him up.
Mm-hmm.
But Missouri has a more interesting, and I don't want to say risky, but one of the things that I've said on this show throughout the years is he leaves Georgia for a reason, right? He leaves Alabama for a reason. He leaves Ohio State for a reason. When a player leaves to go in the portal from those schools, especially when a player from one of the lines of scrimmage leaves from those schools, why did Kirby let XYZ player leave? Well, Damon Wilson is from Georgia, and he absolutely rocks as an edge player from Missouri. Right? Bo Prabula, quarterback from Penn State, as we know.
Understandable there, yeah.
Theo Weiss is gone
Zion
now,
Young-
but Oklahoma, key receiver the
Sure.
last few years.
Zion Young, the other edge for Missouri, is from Michigan State, which is a little bit of a different deal. But again, that's a P5 transfer, for instance. So, yes, they're both portal augmented, is probably the best way to say it. Vanderbilt's probably a little more portal built from the foundation. But Missouri's probably a little bit more portal augmented, but the way they've done it is more like players. It's still a scouting victory, but it's a different type of scouting victory than Vanderbilt's.
It's tricky because Vanderbilt is also still probably not enjoying the full luxury of being an SEC school because of admissions. And maybe that's something that that Clark has a conversation with the administration about, because that isn't that extra layer of work you need to do in evaluation. Is like, you got to get them in. It's Vanderbilt. You got to get them in. You got to get them ready. When the portal first started, I can't remember this kid's name, but I remember thinking, oh God, they're so doomed. Because in the first year or two of the transfer portal, I remember they had like coached up and developed a really good offensive lineman. And he went and started at Alabama, entered the transfer portal, boom, plug and play when Saban was still there. And I remember thinking, oh shit.
I remember this. Yes.
They can't be a development team now, because Clark's got such a good reputation too as a DC, and like he's a great talent evaluator, that shit, if they do that, they're just going to get plucked. That was before Vanderbilt was like, hey, it's NIL or death. And then that's Tim Beck, that's Jerry Kill, that's Diego Pavia, and then we start doing that at every position group. But early on, I was like, oh no. And then when that guy left, this kid I should probably have Googled by now as we're talking, it doesn't really matter. the next thing that was said was, well, it can't work like this. You can't take Alabama kids to Vanderbilt because of the admissions. And either like that wasn't 100% true at the time, boys, or Vanderbilt just said, hey, fuck this, man. We got to start being creative with our admission strategies or something and start fighting back. I also think just NIL was like they started doing that thing.
The Pavia stuff, because Vanderbilt has started the Heisman campaign for Diego Pavia, as well they should. If Vanderbilt can navigate the rest of the schedule at like a 4-1, for instance,
he's going
got
to New York.
Really good shot. He's
should.
got a really good shot.
He's got my vote.
I think Vanderbilt from an off, and Jesse Palmer was really interesting about this on Saturday. Godfrey, you were obviously at the game, but Jesse Palmer was kind of explaining the architecture of the offense, and they have this quick and strong tackle setup where like the whole offensive line will shift at times. You'll see 2 to 3 to 4 guys shift from one side of the line of scrimmage to another. That's hell on a defense from just like a strength setting standpoint and how you quite literally line up as a defense. You could create lateral gaps in the defense. You can create vertical gaps in the defense too. And it's difficult. And then they come out and at least in their run game, Pavia becomes a +1 in the QB run game. They run pseudo option a lot of the time. And it's a really, really fun offense to watch. But the thing about Pavia that I think is interesting culturally is like, and me and Alex have sort of talked about this a little bit. I'm interested in your thoughts because you kind of have more of a Rolex that goes further back. Has there been a player like Pavia as far as like total program culture change of something that wasn't there? Like Johnny Manziel, okay, but like A&M at least had something to stand on. Like Vanderbilt was Vanderbilt before he got there.
Mm-hmm.
And now is this very, very capable, dangerous, good, competent college football team.
I mean, we've established my feelings on the Heisman, but if I take it at its definition, I'm one of those people. You know how there's like constitutional scholars who just debate interpretation.
Originalist, is that what it's called? Yeah.
I am a valuablist, and I having seen this now in person. I don't know how many Pavia games I've seen in person now, but I mean, I can't use the adjectives that Richard uses other than to say they run the whole fucking thing through him. I know he's the quarterback.
Yeah, but it's like, more than that. Like,
right.
It is. There are some soft.
So my NFL team does not run the whole system through their quarterback because they have the best running back in the league, right? So like everything goes through Pavia in that offense, down to, as Richard is saying, how the offensive line is structured. So, to me, as a valuablist in the Heisman conversation, I know Ty Simpson beat him and blah, blah, like, yeah, Ty Simpson is the NFL prospect or like, okay, whatever. But to me, he's the most valuable person to a program. Like, remember the Cam Newton argument we would just have where it'd be like, man, you pull Cam out of that fucker and they're 7-5.
Quite literally, actually.
Worse.
Yeah, worse. Yeah. So that's how I feel about Pavia to that degree. I don't know what they do after this, by the way. Like that'll be interesting. I don't think they fall off a cliff. I think they go out and scout again. By the way, like no one was fucking beating down this kid's door.
No,
they didn't win it. They didn't win a coup. So
it was very much like one scholarship. You know what I mean? Like it's not, and they brought the whole band in. So yeah, triumph of scouting. You want to talk about triumph of scouting? The tight end too, who went crazy on Saturday, for instance. Stowers is going to the NFL, but
that's the kid I shouted out in the Junior Cheryl. That's the kid I shouted out here.
Well,
he's
not
a
even
local kid.
He's not even Junior Cheryl. Yeah,
he's
not
fucking
even
huge, and he wears zero, and they run him in the slot all the time. It's awesome.
We can say this: what a world where Vanderbilt has enough good pass catchers that you could plausibly get confused about which good one we're talking about.
Cole Spence. And when we talk about scouting, tight end is a very difficult position to scout because it's a very difficult position to play. Now, especially in an offense like this, that asks you to do a lot of different things formationally, that asks you to block, that demands you to block. It's not just a bunch of Kyle Pitts running around, which God love Kyle Pitts, but it's a hard position to play. It's a hard position to scout. Falcons, shout out. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. College Game Day somehow going there for the second. I did not realize they'd been there before, but I guess they're.
Oh yeah, they went, and you had no. So I walked from my apartment because I was single and childless the last time this happened. and you would have never ever known College Game Day was there until you were like actually a block away. They did it over by Peabody, if you know anything about Nashville, or the Vandy campus, and it was so quiet. Now, Game Day as a show and a structure, like, that has changed to where it's bigger and sort of bawdier and whatever, and so like I don't think they'll set up in the same place. That was, for those of you who remember, the Bobby Johnson Miracle Run.
They start like 6-0 or something.
Yeah. And ended up bowling, which was a big deal for them at the time. It was, I don't think that's Jay Cutler. I think this is a different year than Jay Cutler. Anyway.
It was after Jay Cutler. I think it was after Jay Cutler.
Yeah. Anyway, it's crazy that Game Day's coming back. They'll probably do it in a bigger way, and I would hope more people show up. I know Missouri, so the game just aggressively sold out, like, very, very quickly in terms of the GA tickets that were available. Like, Missouri is expecting to come and bring a big crew. So it'll be another great environment. And you won't be able to tell who's home and who's away because it's the same colors.
It will be fun. That is Stephen Godfrey. That is Richard Johnson. I'm Alex Kirshner. This has been The Main Course presented by Modelo. Thank you so much to Modelo for their sponsorship of this program. You deserve one yourself into this college football weekend. We'll see you very, very soon. Thanks for watching this clip of our podcast. You can listen to the complete episode by clicking the link in the description or by visiting splitzoneduo.com. We put out new episodes every week, and we have bonus episodes for splitzoneduo.com subscribers.